Hey AV Clubbers, welcome to another installment of DVR Club, our TV recap show. I'm John Teti, your senior editor, and I'm here with...
Katie Rife, hi. Staff writer, that's me.
Staff writer, newswire maven extraordinaire. We're talking about Game of Thrones Season 5 premiere, The Wars to Come, I believe it's called.
Yep.
And just so you know, I have not read the books, so I'm coming in fresh. Katie has read the books, but she has agreed this is a spoiler-free zone.
Yes.
Okay, let's head straight into our top storylines. Katie, what storyline popped out for you this week?
Well, the episode opened with the flashback. We've been hearing so much about the
flashback.
The
Capital
flashback.
T.
I believe the first flashback on the show, on Game of Thrones.
It's all bad news for Cersei in this flashback.
I personally have some sympathy for Cersei. I don't like her. She's not a likable character. Yeah, but... her whole life, everyone has been underestimating her. Her father basically told her all she's good for is making babies. Yeah.
And this has been hanging over her then for years and years. Like her entire life, she's had this hanging over her and she sees it slowly coming true. And that really helps us understand her insecurity and maybe even sense of panic at this point in the story.
You'll be queen. For a time. Then comes another. Younger. More beautiful.
Could be Marjorie, who's right there in King's Landing.
Right there, and she's stepping up her game. She's got plans.
She's stepping up her game, but then Daenerys on the other side of the world is also now really gaining some momentum.
Who I believe Cersei thinks that Daenerys is dead.
But Daenerys is alive and well and dealing with these dragons. They're out of control, which sort of, you know, obviously symbolizes the fact that her kingdom that she's built is perhaps getting too big and unruly for her.
She can't handle it.
Katie, moving right along to our inanimate objects of the week. Enough talking, enough living. Let's talk about our inanimate objects of the week. You started off.
I would have to say the wall, simply because this is the most boring character. He's so boring.
I know, the show, to me, always grinds to a halt when they go to the wall. It's just all this huffery-puffery and not a lot happens.
It's just gray and snowing, and some little kid is still no good at sword fighting. But Jon Snow goes, "It's okay, buddy, it's okay."
Come, try it again. Drive at me. Keep your shield up, or I'll ring your head like a bell.
Another inanimate object of the week for me is that crate that Tyrion is trapped in.
Yeah.
Didn't you love that point of view shot? We were looking through that little circle. For me, kind of rare.
You said it was almost a Breaking Bad kind of shot, which I agreed with.
I feel like it reminds me of Breaking Bad. I mean, Breaking Bad uses them extensively. I'd love to see it on Game of Thrones. I'd love to see them mixing up the visual language a little bit.
They don't do a lot of fancy camera work, really.
No, they don't.
It's more about the sweeping vistas on that show.
Quotable quotes.
Yes.
Quote of the week for me, the future is shit, just like the past, followed by barf.
Barfing.
Barf.
Yeah.
And don't you think...
Earning that Emmy once again.
Tyrion is a pragmatist who believes that people ought to be good.
Right.
And Varys is a pragmatist who believes that people can be good. You know, he has this kind of sweet faith in humanity. He really believes that civilization can be better than it is.
His intentions are noble, ultimately. Like when he says to Tyrion in this episode, you know, Tyrion says, "Well, what should I care anymore about Westeros?" He's like, "Well, it's the future of your country." He's a patriot, really.
It's so rare on this show that I really am drawn to it, even though he can be so cynical at the same time. Now, what do you think of Peter Dinklage's overall performance as Tyrion? You have some thoughts, I understand.
In seasons 3 and 4, where Peter Dinklage would occasionally put on this affected Westerosi accent that no one else is doing. Everyone else pretty much just does a British accent, but he would put on this really clipped, affected accent. I know he's a better actor than that, than to have an accent that went in and out.
I have noticed.
Around the time when he was on trial.
Yes.
Was when the accent really just went bananas.
When Game of Thrones is going through this big moment period, the accent got bigger too. Okay, so how was his accent performance in this? Could you give it a quick grade?
Great.
Great.
Perfect,
Okay.
normal, believable.
Great accent. Now we've arrived at Speculation Corner. It looks a lot like where we've been sitting for the rest of the show, but in fact, this is now Speculation Corner, where we talk about what's going to happen next week. What do you think we're going to see next week?
We got to
Katie?
go to Dorne because
We got to go to Dorne.
All of the trailers, the promotional materials, there are all these photos of the sand snakes in Dorne, and a lot of talk about the new casting and the new characters. And there's already so many characters and storylines that they have to go to Dorne next episode.
The closest we got to Dorne in this episode was a birthmark. I hope next week that we're going to see more of Sansa, because we can see in this episode she's starting to learn the statecraft, shall we put it, of the Seven Kingdoms with Littlefinger. But I like seeing Sansa learn the scheming and learn how all these moving parts work, and you can tell she's becoming a sounding board for Littlefinger. So I'm hoping to see more of that cunning diplomat Sansa emerge in the episodes to come. I'm not going to ask. I want to remain unsullied, shall we say. Hey! And with that, we're going to say goodbye from this episode of DVR Club. This has been Katie. I'm John. Thanks for watching. Bye.